The ratings are in for this week's edition of AEW Dynamite on TBS. Could Becky Lynch make her WWE return this weekend at the Royal Rumble, as well as possibly AJ Lee? We'll let you know all the details on that. Could Charlotte Flair be set for championship gold once she returns to in-ring competition? Josh Alexander is betrayed last night on TNA Impact. Several NXT superstars get victories last night on Access TV. The NXT Tag Team Championships will be on the line next week on TNA Impact. Tessa Blanchard confronts an NXT superstar on the show. Several other matches, segments have been announced for next week's episode of TNA Impact. Mustafa Ali officially signs with TNA Wrestling. A brand new Stephanie McMahon WWE project is officially announced. The date and location for NXT Stand and Deliver has reportedly been revealed. The Iconics are set to team up for their first tag team match since 2022. And Season 6 of Dark Side of the Ring is revealed. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with the ratings for Wednesday's edition of AEW Dynamite on TBS. Now, Wednesday's AEW Dynamite on TBS averaged 604,000 viewers, which is down close to 8% from the previous week and is the lowest audience for the show since January 1st. Dynamite finished 6th on the primetime cable charts with a 0.17 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. That's down 10.5% from last week and ties the second lowest rating in that category the show has done since November 27th. Now, the overall viewers and 18 to 49 number, of course, does not include people who watch the show on the Max simulcast. The only major sports competition was an NBA game on ESPN, which did 1.129 million viewers and a 0.34 rating in the 18 to 49 demo to top the cable charts. Cable news shows were also part of the aforementioned top 6. As compared to the same week in 2024, overall viewership was down 26.2%, while the 18 to 49 rating was down 34.6%. Now, in terms of the quarter-hour ratings, these come courtesy of WrestleNomics, so shout out to them and be sure to subscribe to their Patreon service. As you can see, the show followed the similar trend to what we see most weeks now of AEW Dynamite on TBS, with a strong lead-in and the show gradually tapering off when it comes to the rest of the show. Interestingly, the final 3 segments were actually below total viewership for the last 90-day trend, whereas the 1849 demo was largely on track for what we've seen over the last 90 days. Now, a bit of an update here when it comes to Becky Lynch. Many people are wondering, when is the man going to come back around to WWE television? Well, Becky Lynch has been under WWE contract, but hasn't appeared on WWE television since her absence started last year. According to Sean Rossap of Fightful Select, there is naturally inquisition regarding her status for the Royal Rumble this weekend. There were reports that Lynch was to be in Indianapolis for the Royal Rumble, which WWE sources have pushed back on, according to Sapp. It was noted to Fightful that creative is still being discussed for her return. Anything could change and often does, which should go without saying. Now, if not Lynch, what about AJ Lee? Since CM Punk returned to WWE, many have wondered, is his wife set to join him back in the company? It's Royal Rumble time, so AJ Lee is a hot topic among fans, especially since CM Punk's return to WWE. Fans have inquired about the possibility of AJ Lee showing up. Those that Fightful Select spoke to claim they haven't heard that, but that if something had happened, or if it did happen, it would be kept very, very, very extremely close to the vest. Fightful have been told by numerous talent across AEW and WWE that they've made jokes over the years about pulling AJ Lee out of retirement, but there had never been a situation that they'd heard of it being a reality. Quote, "She always looks like she'd fit right back in on TV, and I'm sure she's aware that if she decided she wanted to be in the Royal Rumble tomorrow, that could happen," one WWE higher-up said. Now, in regards to CM Punk referencing her as a potential surprise entrant and saying he'd get in trouble, the higher-up said they believe that intended to mean he'd get jokingly in trouble with AJ for bringing her up. AJ Lee hasn't been completely absent of wrestling as she appeared on Heels. Fightful have been told by those that worked on the show that she crushed it in the ring. Now, Charlotte Flair, speaking of the women's division in WWE, we know she's on her way back, but could championship gold also be in her future? Now, Charlotte Flair hasn't wrestled since suffering tears to her ACL, MCL, and meniscus during her match against Asuka on the December 8, 2023 edition of SmackDown. Over 1 year later, Flair's comeback has been announced for this weekend, with the Queen set to compete in the 30-woman Royal Rumble match. Following WWE releasing Top Girl merchandise for the returning star, WrestleVotes has confirmed on social media that Flair's new character will see her embrace a Top Girl attitude. Noting that there has been talk about Flair winning a championship sooner rather than later, WrestleVotes wrote, quote, "With Charlotte Flair set to return this weekend, a source says her presentation will fully embrace her Flair family legacy with a Top Girl attitude and flair to her character. There's also talk of championship gold coming her way sooner rather than later." Now, this has fueled speculation that Flair could win the Royal Rumble match, with the winner earning a title bout at WrestleMania 41. There have been rumors and reports suggesting that Flair versus Tiffany Stratton has indeed been discussed for WrestleMania in Las Vegas this year. Now, switching over to TNA Impact last night on Access TV, Eric Young betrayed Josh Alexander on the January 30th episode of TNA Impact, turning on him during their tag team bout. Young was teaming with Alexander against the Northern Armory. Young tagged into the match, but turned and struck Alexander. The punch knocked Alexander's headgear off. Young and the Northern Armory continued to beat down Alexander, concluding with a pile driver by Young. Now, Alexander quit TNA at TNA Genesis after losing an I Quit match to Mike Santana. At TNA Impact Live on January 23rd, the Northern Armory attacked him before Eric Young made the save. Of course, it has been rumored that the latest set of TNA Impact television tapings could be Alexander's last with the company before his contract expires with TNA Wrestling next month. Now, as part of the multi-year partnership between WWE and TNA Wrestling, it continued last night because the partnership between NXT and TNA saw two top NXT performers compete on the January 30th episode of TNA Impact. Both Cora Jade and Wes Lee picked up victories on January 30, and neither was interested in making new friends. Cora Jade was the first of the two to see action. She defeated Hyan, however, made a new enemy of Xia Brookside. A vignette was shown of Jade and Brookside having to be pulled apart backstage, and then Brookside ran down to ringside to save Hyan from a post-match attack by Jade. TNA Knockouts World Champion Masa Slamovich also tried to get some revenge on Jade before she bailed from the ring. Wes Lee was next in action. He faced Ace Austin, and after picking up the victory thanks to the distraction from Tyson DuPont and Tariq Igua, all three men tried to jump Austin. Thankfully for him, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz, Lee's former teammates, ran out to make the save. Wes Lee also said earlier in the night he was going to help Tyson and Tariq reach the NXT Tag Team Championship, just as he expects them to help him reach the NXT Championship. Now, speaking of championships, specifically NXT ones in TNA, the Nemeths will challenge for the NXT Tag Team Championships on next week's TNA Impact. In a segment posted to social media following the conclusion of this week's episode, TNA revealed that Nick Nemeth and Ryan Nemeth will challenge Fraxium, that being Nathan Fraser and Axiom, for the NXT Tag Team Championships on the Thursday, February 6th episode of TNA Impact on Access TV. TNA Authority figure Santina Marella and daughter and Miss NXT emissary Ariana Grace announced the bout after the Nemeths were victorious over First Class in this week's Impact main event. Several other segments and matches have been announced for next week's show, which we'll get to shortly. Now, Tessa Blanchard, she confronted an NXT superstar last night. Tessa Blanchard crossed paths with the liaison between TNA and NXT. On the January 30th episode of TNA Impact, Ariana Grace was confronted by Tessa Blanchard. Grace approached Blanchard with her normal poise, but Blanchard would have none of it. The Diamond said she wasn't interested in taking orders from a messenger from NXT and called Grace someone who was handed everything by her father. Ariana was flustered and left the scene, while Tessa Blanchard also told Gia Miller that she wasn't welcome around her. Blanchard closed the segment by saying she answered to nobody. Ariana's his father is TNA Director of Authority Santina Marella, and speaking of fathers, Tessa's father, Tully Blanchard, appeared on the January 22nd TNA Impact episode. Speaking of TNA Impact, next week several matches and segments have been confirmed for the show. TNA Wrestling has announced that TNA World Heavyweight Champion Joe Hendry will have a concert on the February 6th episode of TNA Impact, plus a Knockouts Battle Royal will determine the number one contender for the TNA Knockouts World Championship. Furthermore, Mike Santana will take on Matt Cardona. Finally, the System, that being Moose, JDC and Eddie Edwards, will battle Leon Slater and the Hardys. Now, speaking of TNA, this has now officially been confirmed. Former WWE superstar Mustafa Ali, of course, was released from WWE in September 2023, with him going on to work for TNA and various independent promotions in 2024. Ali captured the X Division Championship in TNA last year, with him even being crowned the company's X Division Star of the Year, and he has now returned to the company, this time under a contract. TNA posted a statement on Ali re-signing on their website saying, quote, TNA Wrestling confirmed today that it has signed Mustafa Ali, a former X Division champion and the 2024 X Division Star of the Year award winner, as first reported by Sports Illustrated. Born in 1986 in Bolingbrook, Illinois, Ali was raised in the Chicagoland area and has two older brothers. He long dreamed of being a pro wrestler, a la his idols Bret Hart, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio Jr., Chris Jericho, and others. Ali made his pro wrestling debut in 2003. He wrestled for the WWE from 2016 to 2023 and made his TNA debut in January 2024. Mustafa is a Muslim with Pakistani and Indian roots and represented Pakistan in his WWE debut at the Cruiserweight Classic. He is a skilled mat wrestler who also mixes in high-flying attack. Mustafa spent 4 years as a police officer in Homewood, Illinois, before signing with the WWE. Mustafa and the stars of TNA Wrestling will be in action on Thursday and Friday, February 20 and 21st at Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida, with the Thursday night show set to air live on Access TV starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. The Friday show will be taped for future episodes of TNA's flagship weekly television show, Impact. Now, Stephanie McMahon, a brand new project involving McMahon has been announced by WWE. While Stephanie McMahon hasn't been around in WWE in a formal capacity ever since she resigned from her role as WWE co-CEO in January 2023, she has slowly begun to reassociate with the promotion over the past year. McMahon made appearances at both the 2024 Hall of Fame ceremony and WrestleMania 40 and was at the Raw on Netflix premiere earlier this month. And now she will be involved on a more formal level in a role one wouldn't expect from her. On X Thursday afternoon, WWE released a 26-second trailer that confirmed McMahon would be hosting the upcoming series Stephanie's Places on ESPN+. News of the series was broken earlier in the day by PW insider Elite. And that series had been discussed at a WWE Town Hall event, though there was no mention at the time of when the show would air. WWE's official announcement took care of that, revealing that the series will begin airing this March. As the title suggests, Stephanie's Places will be similar to fellow ESPN Plus series Peyton's Places, which features NFL Hall of Famer Peyton Manning sitting down with other former NFL stars to discuss football, the NFL's cultural impact, and other topics. The earlier report revealed that McMahon had already filmed content with Cody Rhodes and Steve Austin, while WWE's trailer showed McMahon hanging out with Austin, Charlotte Flair, and Roman Reigns, confirming their involvement. Much like everything else McMahon has done involving WWE since her departure, this will undoubtedly lead to speculation that McMahon could rejoin the promotion's corporate ladder. Whether or not that does wind up being the case remains to be seen. Now, NXT Stand and Deliver has become a staple of WrestleMania weekend, hasn't it? On April 19th and 20th, WWE's main roster will gather for the company's biggest show of the year, WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas, Nevada. A new report indicates that the WWE NXT brand will run a show of its own that same weekend, parallel to years past. According to Fightful Select, NXT will host Stand and Deliver from Vegas's T-Mobile Arena on the afternoon of Saturday, April 19th. While an exact start time for this premium live event was not mentioned, it will notably be taking place mere hours before the action for night one of WrestleMania kicks off. T-Mobile Arena is about an 8-minute drive from Allegiant Stadium, which WrestleMania 41 will emanate from. The NXT Stand and Deliver series began in 2021 with Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly headlining night 2 of the events. Since then, it has changed to a one-night show. Still, it has aired as part of WrestleMania week festivities. Last year's Stand and Deliver PLE came accompanied with 7 total matches, one of which broadcast on the pre-show. The main event pitted former friends Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes against one another, with Williams emerging victorious. Before the NXT stars prepare for Stand and Deliver, they will be first looking towards Vengeance Day, which occurs on February 15th in Washington, D.C. 3 matches have been announced for that PLE so far, including a triple threat match for the NXT Women's Championship. NXT champion Obafemi will also defend his title in a triple threat match, in this case against Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Now, the Iconics, they're set to make their return to professional wrestling. Yes, Cassie Lee and Jessica McKay, the duo formerly known as the Iconics, are reuniting for their first tag team match in 3 years. Indie promotion Prestige Wrestling announced yesterday that Lee, the former Peyton Royce, and McKay, formerly Billie Kay, will be teaming up at their event in Las Vegas on April 17th. The show, titled Nothing to Lose, is happening on the Thursday of WrestleMania week. The opponents for them both have not yet been named. The two are former WWE Women's Tag Team Champions and later held the Knockouts Tag Team Gold for Impact Wrestling. While in Impact they were known as the IInspiration, they are again using that name for this prestige match. In 2022, Lee and McKay announced they were indefinitely stepping away from wrestling to focus on other opportunities. This will be the first time McKay has wrestled since then. Lee worked a tour of matches for World Series Wrestling in Australia in 2023. And finally, the date for the premiere of Dark Side of the Ring Season 6 has been confirmed. Vice TV announced Thursday that Dark Side of the Ring will be returning for Season 6 on Tuesday, March 25th. The show has been running since 2019 and has featured some of wrestling's most disturbing stories, with episodes such as The Plane Ride from Hell, The Double Life of Chris Kanyon, and In the Shadow of Grizzly Smith. Dark Side of the Ring shared the news on X yesterday morning, while also revealing a short trailer for Season 6, saying, quote, "We're back. Season 6 premieres March 25th on Vice TV. Which episode are you looking forward to the most?" The 10 wrestlers and topics for each episode of Season 6 include Hell in a Cell, Big Van Vader, Tony Atlas, Ludwig Borger, Billy Jack Haynes, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, Superstar Billy Graham, Daphne, the Original Sheik, and Muhammad Hassan. The trailer specifically showcased WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley speaking about his infamous Hell in a Cell match with The Undertaker at King of the Ring 1998. It remains to be seen if Dark Side of the Ring will focus on the Hell in a Cell gimmick altogether or highlight Foley and Taker's match on its own. Former WWE superstar Mark Henry provided his thoughts on Dark Side of the Ring last November, saying he formally refused to be part of the show because he does not agree with focusing on the darker aspects of wrestling, but made an exception for the Tony Atlas episode. But there you go, guys, the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.